boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday school, parents, grandparents, and teachers of Sunday school and moral education. May you all be well and peaceful. We are going to tell you a short story with very good moral lessons to learn. The story is titled Three Friends During a Flood. It is a story with moral lessons for students to learn. Now, we're going to show you this PowerPoint. I'll read to you the short story, and then I will comment on the important things of Dharma and also moral lessons. So let us launch the PowerPoint. So, let's read it. Okay. So you can see three friends during a flood. A story with moral lessons for students. I think you know our country Malaysia experiences floods, especially during the end of the year when you have the monsoon period. So in various states you have floods. So this story is a simple story concerning three good friends in or during a flood. Now you can see the picture here, this town, right, is flooded. And the movie, The Sound of Music, so the flood must have taken place long time ago in 1967 perhaps. But now you still have very bad floods even in KL, isn't it? Banjir. So let us look at this. Now it was a very hot day. The sun shone down strongly. Ben, Jeff, and Linda sheltered under a shady tree. Now you have these three good friends, Ben, and then Jeff and Linda. So since it was very hot, so they went under a tree to get a shade. You know, it is not a good thing to get sunburn under the sun. When the sun is very hot, you must not be directly under the sun for a long period of time, right? It can affect your skin adversely. So sitting under a tree like this protects us from the heat of the sun, said Ben. Right? That is a wise move, isn't it? Uh, so they can relax in the shade. And during a hot day, you must drink a lot of water. Right? So that is this situation here. Before them lay the wide sea. In other words, not far away, there was a sea with a beautiful beach. So by the seaside, at the beach, there were people having picnics. Some people were bathing in the sea. Some were chasing each other on the beach. They were having a fine time, enjoying themselves, right, with their friends. So these three friends, Ben, Jeff, and Linda, played by the seaside too. So that is a good pastime. But of course, you know, when you go to the beach, it is very important you take good care of your safety. You must not go far into the sea, right? It's dangerous, you can get drowned. And you must be under the supervision of an adult, your parents or teachers or your relatives, to make sure that you don't get into dangers in the sea waters. So you see lots of fun, right? And you can see here this kid paddling, right? Maybe a small boat or a canoe, and they cooperate very well. So cooperation among friends is very important. You have good friends who are not selfish, who help you. Cooperation. The weather is not always so fine. Sometimes the sky is cloudy. You can't expect the weather to be the same all the time, isn't it? Sometimes it is sunny, sometimes it's rainy, sometimes the wind blows heavily, you get a storm. Whatever it is, this is natural. Weather patterns change. And you must be able to accept all these different weathers peacefully. Don't grumble or complain when there is rain. And when there is the sun, a hot sun, you complain, you're very hot. And when there is a rain, a storm, you say it's very cold. That is not good, isn't it? You must learn to accept peacefully. So that afternoon, as soon as the three friends reached home, the sky suddenly became overcast. Now, this means the clouds were gathering in the sky and rain will be coming soon anytime. An overcast of all these clouds, you know. So Ben, Jeff, and Linda did not go outdoors. They were afraid that it would rain. Very wise students. They knew, all right, from the overcast that rain, perhaps a heavy downpour, would soon happen. And if they are outdoors and get caught in the rain, they may fall sick, right? And you can have dangers also with lightning and thunder. So smart three friends did not go outdoors. That afternoon, a storm struck a village. So this village, the kampong area, so there was a storm, right? Very, very heavy rain with thunder, with lightning, ribut lah, ribut hijau, hujan, ribut. So, you know, if you have very heavy downpour of rain with the wind blowing and, you know, continuous rain falling, flood come. So it was reported that many houses were destroyed because of the strong winds in the storm. And trees also were uprooted. They were just uplifted out and the trees fell, right? So you see, such is the power of the wind in the storm. So the inhabitants, the people staying in the houses in the kampong were very afraid. They were afraid that the houses might collapse. So they ran out of their houses and found shelter in a safe place, right? Maybe in a stronger building on a higher land, not so prone to flood. So these people ran out. Now, Linda's father works in the town. So Linda telephoned the friend Ben. She told him that it was raining very heavily in town. So the rain was falling all over. So Linda's father in town who had a problem, who have a problem coming home. So lightning flashed. You could see the lightning flashed. Kilat, huh? And the father of Linda was trapped by the rain. So he was trying to drive back, but the traffic could not move easily, could not move smoothly because of the storm. Heavy rain, there will be traffic jams, right? And probably certain stretches of the roads will be flooded and the vehicles could not move. So traffic could not move smoothly because of the storm. So because of the heavy rain, the floods came. The heavy rain resulted in the floods, at the edges of the town, you know, the villages and certain parts of the town, low-lying areas. So the people or the inhabitants had to leave their homes. And sometimes, you know, you have the what they call it, boats or rescue boats coming to evacuate them, to bring them out of their homes to go to safer places until the floods subsided. So rescue boats were used to rescue these people. So the boats would fetch them or ferry the flood victims to a safe place, sometimes in the school or in community halls or it may be certain religious buildings. So these are on higher ground, so they will be staying there for a period until the floods subsided. So that is the situation. So just now, as I said, the flood victims were housed at a few flood centers. Very often, some schools will be used, apart from other community buildings or halls. So these three friends, so they are very, very nice people of good character. So they went to help. They went to the relief centers, the places like in schools or community halls where the flood victims were housed. So they went there to do gotong royong or charity work, to pack the food, and then to distribute the food to the people, the poor people. You have children, mothers, fathers. So these three good friends did good dana, charity work, to help also to deliver the food to the people in need. Of course, they have to take care of the safety. You cannot go into waters which are very deep, right? So this is an important thing. In fact, many people from outside the area send in help, donations, or clothing, or food, or drinks, blankets, dry foodstuffs. So a lot of people very kind, which you should do. When you have people in need, you can donate to them in terms of money or in terms of food or clothing. Because in the flood, some of their belongings like clothing or even their foodstuffs or even their furniture all might be damaged, right? Rosak. So they will need this help. After sometimes these floods like in the East Coast can go on for a few days. Then at long last the rain stopped. So people were relieved lah. So the sun came out again, shone again, and the flood waters went down or subsided. Right? But of course, you see, once the flood waters went down, the roads, the houses that were attacked by the floods became very, very dirty, filled with mud and debris. But these flood victims now could go back to their own homes, and they would have to work very hard to clean up all the mud and rubbish that the flood had brought. And these three friends also helped. These three friends went to certain homes that needed help, lack of manpower to help them to clean their houses, or sometimes in public areas, right? So you have volunteers who help to clean up because a lot of mud and debris, and if you don't clean up these things after the flood, dangerous. It will be dangerous because these dirty things can bring in the diseases, right? So once you have dirt and rubbish not tended to, then diseases can spread, the water supply can be affected. So it's important to do a cleanup, and they need a lot of help. So in the end, everything was okay. You have these three friends helping together with other, even old people also went to help. So finally, everything became normal again. So this is a very simple story of the flood, and we can learn important life lessons. Now let's look at some vocabulary and English methods. Sheltered means found protection. So they found protection under the tree. Remember the three friends? When the sun was very hot, right? They found shelter under the shade of the tree. Lay means spread out before one's eyes. All right. The white sea lay not far from their homes. Right. Spread out. Overcast. Just now I mentioned. Wow. The dark clouds beginning to form in the sky. And this usually will indicate a rain will be coming soon. And it could be a storm. Right. Overcast. Struck means hit with great force, like the villagers were struck by the floods, right? Big floods. Smoothly, freely. During the floods, in certain areas of the town, the roads get clogged with water and traffic could not flow smoothly, right? Traffic jams, obstruction. Resulted means caused to happen. This resulted in traffic jam. The flood waters resulted in traffic jam caused to happen. Pour, the rain poured down. Sometimes people will say, it was raining cats and dogs. It doesn't mean cats and dogs fall down from the sky. Just means heavy rain. The rainwater just poured down in great quantities. Now, some knowledge, all right, that may be useful for you. The weather, of course, cannot be always the same. It changes, as I said just now. Sometimes, right, sunny, sometimes rainy, sometimes very windy. In certain countries, you have 4 seasons. Summer, and then after that, you have autumn, and then you have winter and spring. Malaysia doesn't have 4 seasons, but we have rainy season towards the end of the year. So the sun gives up heat and warmth. Without the sun, we cannot live, right? Very important. Clouds contain water vapor that falls as rain, and you know how rain comes because of the clouds with the water vapor, and where lots of clouds gather and then they condense. The water vapor condenses and rain comes down. And if you have too heavy rains, it can cause floods. Drains overflow. Even the rivers, can overflow their banks, and then huge areas can get flooded. Strong winds are very dangerous. We are lucky. You have certain places, you have typhoon, hurricane, tornadoes, and these can just uproot the trees, and they can even carry the cars or bicycles, vehicles, and then the cars will be up in the air and they will land in another place. Imagine so powerful this winds in a hurricane or a typhoon. So you learn some general knowledge. The 3 characters in the stage or in the story, in this case here, Ben, Jeff, and Linda, right? And here this story tells us some important moral values like bonds of friendship, helping people in need, and then we must find out about things happening around us. Then these people must have courage and confidence. At the same time, they must be wise not to get themselves into danger. So the last slide we are going to see is the set of lessons that we can learn, what we call life lessons to learn. All right. And of course, this is just a scene of one of the floods in Malaysia. You can see sometimes in certain areas it's quite bad. Right here, up to the knees. Sometimes they can even go until the roofs of the building. So the people have to evacuate to go to safer ground. So now let us see the important life lessons to learn. Number 1, we must be mindful, aware of the things that happen around us. Yeah, it's very important. Just like now the 3 good friends, they were mindful. They saw the clouds overcast, and they knew they had to go home and not be caught in the heavy rain outside. Very mindful, isn't it? And during heavy rain, you must be careful not to be in the open space and get struck by the lightning. You can be killed, So you have to go back into the house. Don't stand under, like a tall metal post or even the tall tree under. The lightning can strike. The lightning finds the highest point to strike you. So always be alert. Use your eyes to see what is happening around you. Use your ears to hear. All right. Or maybe you can also listen to the news. That's very important to be aware, alert. Now let's look at the second one. We must have good knowledge and take care of our safety. That's very important. Knowledge is power. Like when you go to the sea, Certain areas very dangerous. They have jellyfish that can sting you. Or in the ocean, you might have even the sharks. So you have to have good knowledge where the areas that you can go and where the areas that are dangerous. So we must always take care of our safety, and that comes through good knowledge. That's why you have to learn in school, pay attention, read the books, listen to the news. Uh, so that is this important point. You don't become katat di bawah tempurung, ignorant, you know, all the things. And then the dangers of, waters that are contaminated. Don't just simply drink and then you get diseases like cholera and so on. We must have a kind and compassionate heart. That's very good. Kind and compassionate people are well liked, and you are practicing the Dharma, right? You have loving kindness, metta. You have compassion, karuna, and these are good virtues, good moral values. So that's this third point. And I think you can see the three students have very kind and compassionate hearts, isn't it? They volunteer to go and help. They don't just get paid, you know. So this is a good point. We must not be selfish thinking of ourselves only. Nowadays, many people, young ones also, many young ones, selfish. Ask them, come and do gotong royong lah to help the Buddhist Association to become librarians. No lah, I want to play my smartphone games lah. I want to watch YouTube lah. I want to go and see my friends lah. They only think of themselves, right? They are not willing to help. So to be able to help is a good practice, dana, right? If you're always thinking of yourself, then one day you will find out for yourself the bad effects that come. People don't like you. When you're in trouble, people also don't bother about you. It's cause effect, right? So being helpful, I think of other people, considerate, that is an important point. And then the last point, we must help people in need. Of course, there are so many people in need, you know, like in this case here, the flood victims. Then, of course, sometimes you see, you hear the news of poor people in Africa, or during an earthquake, or during a terrible typhoon or hurricane, and then there's an appeal for help. And if you practice the Dharma well, you can donate. You can donate some money, or maybe you can donate some clothing or whatever lah. That is the practice of dana. So don't expect anything. You just do the good things, and one day you will get the good things back. Good begets good, bad begets bad. Some people, you know, they are very money-minded. You ask them to help in certain things. What is the pay? The money, no money, no talk. Oh, like that, what has education done for them? Right? They have failed in getting a good education. You must have a dana heart to volunteer, not everything just money, you know. So lastly, we wish you this. May you be mindful, very important, just now I mentioned, and don't get panic, calm when you have a flood or any other natural happening, disaster or what, calm, and then try to make your mind peaceful, and then to act wisely. So these are the qualities you have to develop: mindfulness, calmness, and peacefulness in the mind, so that you can think better and do the right actions, right? So that is the end of this lesson titled Three Friends During a Flood. Very simple story, but important moral lessons or Dharma lessons, right? So we thank you for taking the time to view this presentation and to learn Dharma as well as some English, so that you will become better students, all right, in your minds, in your character. So to end it, we say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.